And we get into our big stories. Now, the opposition NDC has met with civil society organizations, labor unions, religious leaders, media managers, and journalists to present their case for a forensic audit of the voters register and its IT system. The party argues that the integrity of the upcoming elections depends on resolving issues within the register and ensuring the transparency in the electoral process. Well, joining us for a conversation on that, we're going to find out, of course, the NDC has been in the thick of things. We're going to find out from Dr. Rashid Tanko, Computer, Deputy Director of Elections and IT for the NDC. And we also have Emmanuel Wilson Jr. He is Chief Crusader of the Crusaders Against Corruption, one of the CSOs present at the meeting, to delve deeper into the calls for this critical audit. Gentlemen, a very good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning, Benjamin.
All right, so I can hear both your voices. Let's start from your takeaways. I'll start with you, Dr. Rashid Tanko, because yesterday you invited quite a number of these CSOs to this engagement, but not many of them showed up. I do know the Peace Council was not there, the Christian Council, among others. What happened? Did you achieve your ends? What are your takeaways, Dr. Rashid Tanko?
Benjamin, let me say good morning to your cherished viewers. And let me indicate that it was a massive attendance by the CSOs, religious leaders, diplomats, the journalists, especially editors, and then the managers of media houses. In fact, the place was filled to capacity. The body that you mentioned, we extended an invitation to them, just that they didn't turn up. But apart from that, we have not less than almost 60 of CSOs in the country attending.
How many CSOs?
Yes, almost 60 of them. 60, almost 60 CSOs. It was great. In fact, we were shocked at the level of participation. That shows that Ghanaians are seriously interested in whatever the NDC is putting out there.
Let me just ask you this. You say there was a massive turnout and all of that. I'm just interested, especially because you've been on a bit of a, I don't want to use the word warpath, but that's the word that comes to mind as far as the Peace Council is concerned. IDEG, among others. Are you concerned that they did not show up to this engagement, especially based on their rhetoric on your positioning so far?
IDEC was there. IDEC was there.
No, I'm not saying IDEC wasn't there. They sent a representative who couldn't even interact with us because she had to seek permission. But I'm saying the Peace Council, that's the entity I'm referencing.
Well, Peace Council, we cannot read in their mind why they didn't turn up. We have extended invitation to them to come because we want them to see. Because, you see, Peace Council, they are part and parcel of the process, especially when we go to IPAC and all that. And then we think that it was important for them to have participated, to listen to it, because all along, this Electoral Commission has been telling the whole world that we have not presented evidence and all that. So yesterday was an opportunity for us to demonstrate to the whole world that we did have evidence, and we did present evidence to them, and even statement from commissioners in the commission attested to the fact that the NDC, we have points, and that they must listen to our call for the forensic audit. Because yesterday was a platform that we demonstrated this. And clearly all the civil society who came in were very much surprised that yes, we have this depth of information about the register that we are all talking about. And you know it, like I've been telling you in your platform, you don't rig election on the D-Day. You rig election way, way, way ahead. You start rigging the election with the register. I mean, manipulate the register, displace voters from the register and all that. So that when all this thing is achieved perfectly, on the D-Day, it's just trying to make sure that you legitimize what you have done. And so, and that is what the Peace Council is interested. Well, they are interested in the event itself. So anytime you hear them talk, they are talking about the event, the voting day. They are talking about peace, election, and all that. But you see, peaceful election is a process. You must get the process right. If the process is not right, don't forget you are not going to have any peaceful election on the D-Day. And so this is why we are interested in the process. And we think that as a body that is always talking about peace should also be interested in the process that leads to the peace. And so if the Electoral Commission will sit in their office and tell the whole world that we cannot rig election, and the Electoral Commission cannot rig election, but their posture, their behavior, their attitude is pointing towards that kind of rigging machinery. Because you cannot be manipulating a register like that.
So tell me, Dr. Tanko Computer, do you feel that on the back of what happened yesterday, your ends were achieved? What were you hoping to achieve? Did you achieve it?
Yes, in fact, we achieved what we were expecting.
Which is what?
Our objective yesterday was to let the CSOs, diplomats, religious leaders, the media houses, to get to understand that we actually did an in-depth work about the register and actually discovered these discrepancies, the processes used in discovering these discrepancies. And it went down well with them. They realized that, yes, the NDC, we have a point. And therefore, you could see some of them were indicating that, well, maybe the Electoral Commission fear forensic, the word forensic audit. If we can substitute the word forensic and all that. I mean, clearly, if they hadn't understood this, they wouldn't have been going this path. And you and I know why we are looking for this forensic audit. It was yesterday that they got to know that we're not even only looking for the forensic audit of the register, but we are also looking for the audit of the IT system. Because don't be looking at the poisonous fruit, but be interested in the root cause, the roots. If you go and cut off the fruit and think that it's poisonous, cut it off, and you don't do something about the roots, you are just wasting your time. It will come back again.
All right.
And so we need to do something about the IT system.
Right. Let me bring in Emmanuel Wilson with the Crusaders. He joins the conversation as well. What do you make of this engagement yesterday? What are your takeaways?
Well, Benjamin, thank you so much. Yesterday was honestly an eye-opener. For the very first time, yesterday gave me the opportunity to appreciate what the NDC has been talking about all this while. And they were able to present some few issues. Indeed, the presentation they made came up with 5 observations. My particular interest had to do with the corrupt files, which had about a little or somehow over 1,000 individuals, where their details were not present. Of course, because it's a corrupt file, you couldn't access their details. And according to them, the response given to them by the EC was that, well, even though some portions of the register is corrupt, if individuals show up with their voters' ID card, as long as there's a manual verification, they'll be allowed to vote. And I thought that was alarming. And so there were issues that came up which I didn't really have much.
Hello, Mr. Wilson.
Appreciation of us at yesterday.
I lost you briefly, Mr. Wilson. Please go ahead.
But when the prayers were happening, and it brought about some worries. Benjamin, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Benjamin, can you hear me? Very well, very well. So I'm not really sure where it truncated, but let me say that election is a process, and it is not a one-off thing. And most importantly, what we need to appreciate is that just some weeks or so ago, Afrobarometer came out with a finding that most Ghanaians are losing confidence in the democracy we are practicing. And so if we have an opportunity to enrich the democracy we have, then we need to do everything possible to ensure that it is characterized by transparency and credibility. And one key thing that we need to do has to do with the register. And so it is expected from what the engagement we had yesterday, our position is that those issues that have been raised, Electoral Commission should find a platform where stakeholders, not just the NDC, but all stakeholders will be present for us to resolve all issues and any other issues that has been identified. That is the best thing we can say. But indeed, the communication yesterday suggested to us that the NDC might have had some issues which all of us need to look at.
So you're saying that per what exactly you actually followed at the event, you feel the calls of the NDC are justified? Is that what you're saying?
Well, as I indicated, there were about 5 observations that the NDC brought into the public domain yesterday. But out of these 5, the one that we can confidently...
All right, we're struggling with the connection to Emmanuel Wilson. Let me come back to Dr. Rashid Tanko. An interesting thought for you, Dr. Tanko Computer. Now, the point is, you gave a 1-week ultimatum to the Electoral Commission. And I'd like to find out from you what your next line of action is. Dr. Rashid Tanko.
Well, Benjamin.
Once we are here to also...
Emmanuel, hold for me. Your connection seems to be...
And if some question...
Your connection seems to be problematic. Please hold for me. Let us work it out. Dr. Rashid Tanko, please go ahead.
Very well, Ben. You see, like my General Secretary said yesterday, the issue is not about NDC, what is our next line of action? It's about this country, what is our next line of action? Because we have brought out the issues. The issue borders about the integrity of our election. And by questioning the integrity of our election, then by far, we are referring to our democracy. That is the heartbeat of our democracy. So what will be our next line of action as Ghanaians, who are lovers of our democracy? Because we cannot allow our democracy to be told by individuals who think that because their appointment is tied to the apple string of the existing government, they must decide how our election should go about. That is what we are talking about. But as a political party, we have taken the way. And by leading you through this process, most of you were not aware of this. And that's why I'm saying I'm so happy yesterday, the number of attendance and the level of understanding that we got from them. Clearly, they didn't know this. They didn't know that this is the level of anomaly found in our register. And then so our next line of action is hinged on what the EC will do. We have given them an ultimatum, 1 week. They should go and think about it. Let us have this platform so that we can all come on the same table and discuss how to resolve this matter once and for all.
This wouldn't be the first time you're giving them some sort of ultimatum. You have called on them to do what you call the right thing. They have not budged. They have come through to say that we don't think your claims are real. Adduce evidence. Bring us the evidence. And they have also said that they are cooperating with you. In fact, there are at least 3 areas where the EC admitted that there were issues and that they had worked on them, including the Pusiga incident. So if at the end of this 1 week, the EC doesn't budge, then what next? Then what?
Ben, you see, this EC, that's why I'm saying that this EC, every day they give an indication why we should not trust them. This EC is telling you that the things that we have talked about, they have corrected them. How did they get it to correct? Where did they get them? Or what corrections have they done? You're saying that in one vein, we have not presented you anything. We have not brought anything to you. In another vein, you go public and be telling the world that all that the NDC is talking about, you have corrected them. Where is the correction? Have you forgotten if our hard drive is still with them? They go out and be telling the whole world that they've corrected. The NDC is following with a hard drive. It's with you. You are keeping our hard drive. Give us the corrected version. Let's look at it. And that one too is a problem. Who told you it's only Pusiga that they have that evidence? That's why I'm saying that they are doing what we call firefighting. When we bring out one issue, small issue, then they'll go and be tackling that matter. This Pusiga issue has read its head in Asunafo South, in Ahafo region. It has read its heads over there. In Tolong, similar issue has happened. So if they sit down and be talking as if the only thing that happened was in Pusiga, that's why I'm saying that they don't know the level of issues that we have in the register concerning these illegal transfers. It's widespread. It's widespread. So mostly when we tease out something small, then you see them running for that one alone. And they'll come and hold a whole press conference to address that just one thing. Not knowing that thing is just a teaser. We have given them a teaser. The other areas, When they rush and talk about the Pusiga, we quickly brought Asunafo issue. We brought Tolong issue coming upstream, that you have done illegal transfers across. And then they are silent. And now you know that this Electoral Commission, because they know that they have messed up the data in their headquarters, they have sent everything. They've escalated everything to
so let me ask you, I mean, it is clear from what from the suggestions that are being made that you want this audit, which is why you held this engagement with the CSOs. Are you saying no audit, no trust? Is that your position as a party?
We have given copious reasons why we don't trust them.
Dr. Tanko Computer, I asked you a question. You've already explained over and again. I don't need you to explain. I'm saying, is the positioning then no audit, no trust? Is that where we are?
Ben, this is not a 1 + 1 = 2 answer. We are saying that we have given reasons why we don't trust these people. And so asking me about trust again is like to go back and recap those reasons.
I am asking you specifically, you have called for an audit, and I'm asking,
yes.
So without the audit, if the process goes on, you will not trust the process. Is that what you are saying? No audit, no trust? Just clarify for me. Straightforward answer.
Ben, which process are we talking here? Which
the
process?
Audit
You said
process.
If the process goes, which process?
I'm talking about the elections. If the election goes on without this audit, does that mean, I mean, you will not, as a party, trust the process?
Oh, it's not about the issue of trusting the process. I am saying that we have identified these issues. They themselves admitted to them. And I'm happy you also alluded to it, that they have admitted that about 3 of the issues are germane. They've admitted to those ones. So if they've admitted to those ones and they created it, and we think that we don't see you because of your behavior solving those problems, let's just have an external body so that we all come to solve that problem. Is it too much to ask for? Ben, is it too much to ask for from them?
You are simply not answering my question. You are rephrasing my question or reframing it and throwing it back to me. You're asking me about whether I think an audit is needed or not. I'm simply asking you, give me clarity. No audit, no trust. Is that your position as a party?
Then we are looking for audit. That's what we are looking for.
Will it suffice to have a renewed exhibition? Will it suffice? I mean, part of this whole thing is for some things to be done and then for another exhibition. I mean, I have not checked my name on the voters register, for example, something that I hope I'm going to be able to do at some point. So is there a push for that as well, a renewed exhibition, whether the audit happens or not? Is that something at least you're looking forward to so that maybe further problems, if any, can be identified?
Well, that one is true. In fact, we are pushing that there should be an exhibition. Clearly, that would help us. Like some of you, you are a good friend. You were not able, 1 or 2 reasons you couldn't go and check. The window has been closed. You cannot check now because they have closed the window, and you are not sure whether your name is there or it has not been transferred. Because of all the problems we have identified, Ghanaians, we have been able to let Ghanaians know that their vote has been transferred illegally. And somebody somewhere in the office has tempered their vote. So it's proper for them to do a re-exhibition. So that if they do this exhibition, I can assure you we are likely to get not less than 50 or 60% of Ghanaians rushing to go and check their names because of the awareness we have created about the illegality that went through the process of compiling the register. And so now the awareness has been created.
Right.
And so I'm sure if they do re-exhibition, a lot of people will take advantage of it to go and just be sure that everything is there. They have not transferred their names illegal without their request. And so it's important for that one there. I don't think there's something they should lose.
Hold for me. Let me bring in Emmanuel Wilson. And of course, that urge for people to go and check will be on the back of some of the concerns that have been raised. Ordinarily, people would expect that, oh, my name would be there at my polling center or where I usually vote. But then all of a sudden, with these, more people want to go and verify. They say trust, but verify, right? You want to verify. But Emmanuel Wilson, you were making a point before the internet connection let go of us. Would you like to wrap up on that
Very
comment,
well.
or should I go into a new
Let
question?
me wrap up on that quickly. So all I was saying was that election is a process, and it doesn't just take a one-off event to determine the success or otherwise of an election. And particularly with the very recent Afrobarometer survey that has come up, which suggests that significant number of Ghanaians are losing confidence in the democracy we are practicing. It is very important for us when we get opportunities such as the one coming on the 7th of December, for us to ensure that we create deeper confidence in individual Ghanaians, for us to be able to still protect the democracy we are practicing. And the only way we can do that is by having an electoral process that is transparent and credible. And so, I mean, per what happened yesterday, we are of a strong position that the issues raised by the NDC should not just be issues that should be put aside, but they are issues that we must all look into. And that's why we are requesting also from the EC to create an environment or a platform for not just the NDC, but all interested stakeholders, CSOs, media, the public, for us all to identify these issues collectively and see if they indeed exist, for us to see how we can correct them for the purposes of us having a credible and a transparent election come 7th December.
Dr. Tanko Computer was not able to give me a straightforward answer. I'll put it to you as well. You mentioned earlier that having listened to the NDC and what they had to share with the CSOs, you were now convinced that they had some grounds to justify their calls for an audit. I'll ask you, do you feel, based on what you now know, that heading into election 2024, no audit, no trust, no audit, no credibility, is that your position?
Just like, before I answer that, which I'm going to answer, just like Tanko indicated earlier, some of us raised the issue of why should there be an audit and not any other things? Of course, we couldn't identify what other thing we should think of, but why should it be an audit? Because you see, forensic audits, the aim is to identify who is culpable. But I don't think, as far as this election is concerned, we should be blaming individuals. We should rather come together and find solutions. And so I would rather propose that we should find solutions to ensure that we have a credible election, and not necessarily an audit to identify who is at fault and who is not at fault. And so with that background, I would rather suggest, or rather answer your question by saying that we need a credible process. And per what we got yesterday, it suggests strongly that so far our register is not as credible as we all expect it to be.
Final words, gentlemen. I'll start with you, Dr. Tanko Computer.
Very well, Ben. It's straightforward. I mean, we are all trying to help protect our democracy. It's the interest of the NDC to make sure that we have a peaceful election, peaceful transfer of power, but we can't achieve this without having a credible register, because the register is what will decide to us who should be our next president. And so we can't just fold our arms and expect that whatever they do at us, we should just take it that way and say, okay, well, let's go and look at it at election day and protect the ballots and all that. When the ballot has been rigged long before even the first ballot is cast. So that is what we are doing. Electoral Commission, their motto is transparency, fairness, and integrity. I know they have problem with integrity. They have problem with transparency. Up for fairness, at least they should protect that one too. Because the two legs, transparency and integrity, they've lost it long since. We're not dealing with them with fairness. At least they should be fair with us by allowing this forensic audit. If they had nothing to hide, they should just allow the forensic audit. We all look at the register. The civil society agree. The religious leaders who were there, they both agree, especially the diplomats who came. I mean, they saw it. They were marveled. And they think that there's a need to do something about it. Let's protect our democracy. That is what we are just looking at. Let's protect it. Let's not allow a process that will lead us to electing an illegal president. That will be detrimental to our democracy. That is what we are looking for. The framers of the 1992 Constitution didn't put those clauses in the Constitution to allow this kind of thing to close over. We must protect our democracy. And this is a time. Nobody to sit at the fence and think that the fight is between NDC and Electoral Commission. No, we are not fighting Electoral Commission.
All right.
Electoral Commission, they are not our enemies. We are stakeholders together. We are all working together, but we want them to do the right thing. And the right thing to do as of now is to call for this forensic audit so that it will help they themselves. They need it more than us.
Right. Thank you, Doc. Let me just wrap with Emmanuel Wilson. Final thoughts?
Well, I think that as we go into this election, we should realize that it is all about our democracy and it's all about this country. Fortunately or unfortunately, whether we like it or not, EC at this time is the referee as far as this election is concerned. My final position is that the EC should be seen as a neutral arbiter to make sure that there's a level playing field for all actors and particularly political parties in this election. They should not be seen as an extremist, sitting somewhere and deciding that they are not going to budge, whether there are concerns raised or there are no concerns. The NDC also a national issue, and that is how I believe we should all look at it. Because if an individual is disenfranchised, we cannot say for certain that that person belongs to any political party, but we can say for certain that that person is a Ghanaian. And so if anyone is disenfranchised for whatever reason, it is a national issue and not an NDC issue. They, whether we like it or not, they are the ones seen to be pursuing this or at the forefront of it. They are bringing this to the public domain. The advice to them is that they should also not have the posture of wanting to brand the institutions as a negative institutions. They should be having, a posture of we want solution and not necessarily who is at fault. These are the two things that I think we all need. The EC needs a role to play. Citizens have a role to play. The NDC in this particular instance also have a role to play. And if all of us, we come to the table or we have a posture of we all want solution and not necessarily fighting anyone or being defensive as is being seen from the Electoral Commission side, I believe strongly that we'll end up having a headway which will give us, a credible election come 7th December.
Well, thank you, gentlemen, for joining the conversation. We had Dr. Rashid Tanko Computer. He is Deputy Director of Elections and IT with the NDC. We also had joining the conversation Emmanuel Wilson. He is Emmanuel Wilson Jr. He is Chief Crusader, Crusaders Against Corruption. Do stay with us. On the next belt of our conversations, we have more coming your way. We'll be right back.